All right. We are back with the Best Overall Show. My name is Jim Vessel. David is back. David, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going? It's been a while.
Gitley, welcome to the Twitch chat. He's the lone viewer in Twitch right now. Some people are YouTube stands and some people are Twitch stands. So I appreciate you showing the dedication. I will one day watch the replay back and nod in appreciation. It's been a while, David.
Yeah, it has. We haven't, I mean, not only just the show, but you and I haven't really touched down in whew, few months, man. Been a year.
Yeah. So what's been going on? Tell the viewers what's been going on with your life and where you've been and what's new in the
Oh,
world.
well, lately, I have been jumping back into my hobbying like way harder than I expected. Mostly into Necromunda and 30K, but I went to LVO. Kind of like shook off the dust after going to Du Bois GT in November, and this is the most recent tournament I've been to since then. So now I think I've officially have like 10 games in ninth edition under my belt now. So that's pretty good.
Nice.
But yeah, no, doing a lot of traveling. When I was at Vegas for LVO, I went to Zion National Park, got lost hiking for a little while, did some climbing, came home with some vertigo. Good times.
Wait, from
Good times.
climbing?
Well, I don't really know if it's from climbing. I got home and the doctor said it could have been like from altitude changes or a big fall or two. I took plenty of falls, so it could be any of those things. So
So your brain is rattling around in there.
what's that?
Your brain is rattling around in there.
Oh no, man! It's my crystals, my ear crystals. That's what vertigo is. You have a little crystal in your inner ear, and it goes into your canal, your ear canal. Yeah, my shaman and my doctor both now use the same terminology, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, I have not been doing any sort of climbing of things. In fact, I have been doing the opposite, which is like very little of anything. So, yeah,
I see
no,
you're climbing. You're climbing the rungs of your hobby log. I
that's
see your
true.
Eldar. Don't.
Climbing the Eldar ladder of Eldar shame, basically.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
saw that Dire
so
Avenger today. Good.
sorry.
I saw your Dire Avenger today on Instagram. Look good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's always, and I'm sure you've dealt with this. It's always a challenge whenever you're painting. Um, like I think we're both pretty good painters, but
Hmm.
obviously we don't paint every model to like the best of our ability, even though we could. And then trying to find the like comfortable middle between something that is going to look really good on the tabletop as from like and especially when we're talking about like non-character models, like
Yeah.
so you're doing 5, 10, 20 models of a certain type, finding that balance between something that is painted to a high standard but also didn't take you the time it would take you to paint 20 character models. I think that's a really hard line to kind of um that needle to thread, I guess, sometimes I find. So I was pretty happy with how it turned out. It didn't take me too long. It's a fairly simple scheme, but I feel like it's already quite striking. I had a lot of compliments. I actually had it. I was on the hobby roundup on Warhammer Community last Friday,
Dude,
I think, and Louise, my
nice.
girl Louise, and Peach had some pretty kind words for my Warlock and Farseer gang. So if
Nice.
you guys like go back and check that out, you can see my models getting praise from Suitchammer and stuff. So that was pretty cool. That was the second time I've been on Warhammer Community. The first time I can't even remember what the first time was, but it was something similar.
Probably
Uh,
like your belt.
Corey Schultz, I'm the drunk one. I'm the one that's drunk. David's the good one.
You know what? For once, I'm actually I've been pumping my brakes a little bit. The vertigo probably is the reason why I probably am not drinking
Mm,
because it literally feels like when you get it, it feels like you have the spins, but you didn't have all the fun to get there. It just kind of
right.
shows up. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun.
See, the key is to drink as so much that you go past the spins.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta learn how to do that. Next level. That's next level right there.
So what have you been up to hobby wise? What have you been working on? What's exciting for you?
So, I'm doing a pile of things. Sadly, for Adepticon, I was supposed to do the Karut Genestealer cult count as army, and I've had to pump the brakes on it for this year because sadly, when the new Genestealer book came out, all the points cost changed and all the unit size, the bike squad units, the unit sizes for bikes changed. So all of a sudden, the way that I was building my army isn't viable, and I'd have to paint and build 20 more models, which those models, each of their own, are kit bashed and converted, and every single model is sculpted and made from like 4 different kits, and it's an intense process, and I just don't have the time right now. I have 1,000 points of Horus Heresy to paint
Okay.
by Adepticon because I'm doing a 3,000 point narrative campaign.
So are you Adepticon isn't canceled, right? It's definitely going ahead.
Oh, it's still going on. Yeah, as of now.
That's
Yeah.
sweet. And
Yeah, so
so you're playing in Horus Heresy? Is that it?
no, I'm doing 2 days of Horus Heresy in the narrative campaign, and then I'm doing the 40k champs.
Okay,
So,
sweet. And that's on the Thursday and Friday?
yes. Yeah, it's only Thursday, and if I day 2, it'd
Oh
be
yeah,
Friday.
Adepticon is such a weird like
Yeah,
format. Are they doing their own weird custom missions this year again?
I
For
do
the
not know.
champs?
Yeah, someone please inform me. I don't read packets.
Yeah,
Probably why I
David's the
didn't
worst person to ask for as far as like rules and stuff.
That's why I probably shouldn't have went to LVOs. I didn't read their tournament packet where I found out everything was obscuring terrain. Probably
Yeah.
should have. Yeah, obscuring
Well,
trees.
that's the new 40. That's the 40k. Obscuring is the new ruins, right?
Dude, it's infuriating. It's infuriating. That and just the fact that you can release a book like 2 weeks
Oh,
before.
Aesthetics Deluxe says in chat that it is Games Workshop missions, which is really nice.
Ooh.
I wonder if it's so like, you know what's really funny actually? So like people used to shit on Adepticon for player placed terrain. That was like one of the hallmarks of Adepticon. And now like I don't know if they're still doing that this year, but like FLG basically took that, improved on it, and now they're doing player placed terrain at all their events. And it seems like a lot of people are liking it. So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, I hated player place terrain at that event because LVO, there was so much terrain on the table that it was almost impossible to actually place all your terrain on the table.
Yeah.
You literally had to configure it in very specific ways for it to actually happen.
Yeah.
And you couldn't let terrain cross the center of the table. So you had a lot of just like obscuring just lines. Like it didn't really feel like a really fun and interesting game of 40k of any of my games. It was either like I got blown out, or people just like sat on their 3 objectives, or Custo just sat in the middle and got their vigil and over and over again. So that was really boring and not exactly fun.
I think I think I was gonna say the Adepticon player place terrain was a shit show. Like, there was no rules, it was just like free for all. And B, the actual terrain pieces were pretty garbage. Like at least with like the FLG events, the terrain is fairly symmetrical on both sides. Like each player gets like half the terrain, and the pieces they get are symmetrical. So there's like 2 ruins on each side and 2 bunkers and 2 whatever, etc., etc. Adepticon, like you'd go to one table and it'd be like 7 hills, 1 big weird shaped terrain piece, and then like a bunch of forests. Like there was no symmetry, there was no like rules, there was no like, it was like absolute chaos, right? So you ended up with these tables that were like both functionally bad but also like visually bad because people would just like cram all like I remember playing Chris Blackham at Adepticon and the last time they had it in 2019, and our table was like hilarious. Like I had like 2 ruins like basically like crammed together in my opponent's zone where I could hide my whole army, and he had like 2 ruins in his, and then there was like 2 ruins on the side, and then the rest of the battlefield was basically empty. Like it was just like an empty plane. Like it looks so stupid. Like, but like, you know, it is what it is. So
yeah, it was one thing that really bothered me though is that like I'm still a very big fan of line of sight. Like
yeah, I mean, if you like to shoot things, line of sight's great.
Yeah, right. And at this event, I brought a Valiant, so I have a big old chonky boy on the table.
That's the guy with the spear.
And what's that?
That's the guy with the spear.
Yeah, the harpoon flamethrower guy. And I kind of got a little flustered because there were pieces of terrain that were just footprints, and they're like, those are obscuring. And I was like, what? And they're like, oh, and these forests are obscuring. I'm like, so I don't even have like a ruin that could like block you with like true line of sight. It's just I felt like I was playing War Machine, and I was like our terrain were like footprints, and I was like, this is stupid. Like true line of sight should still be an active part of our games.
Yeah.
Not just being like it's obscure. So like imagine there was something there, but there isn't. But I can shoot through this at your model. But you know what I mean? Like if it was actual like normal like that's the thing is there were some tables where like the terrain was absolute garbage at like LVO, and then these like random like shipping containers that were just like you had to put them on the table you somewhere, but we didn't know where to put them, so we ran out of place to train.
Looking back, are you happy that you went to LVO? Like, was it a good experience?
I don't think I still haven't had a good LVO experience. The year that you and I went in 2020, I did not have a good time. And then this year, I didn't have a good time. I think it's just mostly like you will run into the people that are like, I'm third place ITC faction Deathwatch. Like, I want to win it. And they're like in the 3-3 bracket, the 3-2 bracket. And they think like if they win their game, they're going to like skip up to like second place ITC bracket Deathwatch. Yeah. And you're just like, who fucking cares? And they just go crazy about it. And like, you get a lot of tryhards, like even at like the lower tables, and it's almost like I want to just bomb my first 3 games so I actually have fun games near the end.
Yeah, I definitely like. I'm glad because I sold my ticket. I had a ticket, I sold it. Obviously, I didn't really even have an army to take, and even if I had my chaos, I would have like chaos is in such a shitty place right now. Like I don't think I would have had fun because like look, I'm not like a win at all cost gamer. Like I'm not a win at all cost gamer. I like to compete though, and I like to feel like I have a chance at competing and placing and doing well. So for me, it's like even if I don't win the event, which obviously I didn't think I was going to win LVO, I would want to have gone in with an army that at least felt like it had a chance to do okay if I played well. And like chaos is in such a shitty place that it's like I probably would have brought like Thousand Suns, or like a chaos mix Thousand Suns or something. And like obviously they got they're just not that great. They're not doing well, especially with the new books. And at the end of the day, like I think I would have gone in with like a subpar list and paid all that money and all that time and just not enjoyed myself. So I do really hope and for those of you that don't know, I had Sean Naden on the show yesterday. We chatted for about an hour. And one of the things we talked about was this like Games Workshop's new approach. And I haven't really talked to you about this, David, because I haven't talked to you in a few months. But
yeah,
obviously Games Workshop has these balanced data slates. They obviously also are doing the chapter approved. And then, we have, from what it sounds like, we're going to get 2 or 3 of those a year. So what do you think of this approach, David? Like, I haven't really heard your thoughts on it. Like, do you feel like it's a good choice or like, what are your thoughts on it generally?
I mean, what for the balance sheets?
Just like their supposed new approach to balancing, right?
I think if they want to have points changes, make it a free PDF. Over the summer, there was a free PDF change for the Ministorum points list. Mm-hmm. You're gonna make a points change every single 6 months. I shouldn't have to pay $30 to know how many points my models cost after I bought a $50 or $40 codex. Like and not to mention the slew of like campaign books that I have as well. I really feel like GW has gone down this slippery slope because they're like, we have the technology. Like if we fuck up our, if we mess up a codex entry or something is like way too overpowered, we can just like change it later. And it's like, I remember like, I like when books were better written. Like I miss that. I miss when like campaign books I felt were made because they wanted to give factions that didn't get love when they first got their book released, that they finally got like something cool, that like makes their armies quirky or competitive. But it just doesn't feel that way right now. I just feel it's very, I don't know, like it's like I'm not having fun when I see new things drop, which I think it just sucks. Like
Yeah.
I should have excitement when like new things drop. I should be like, oh my god, like
Oh,
this new
shit.
campaign book drop. I can't wait to see what's coming out.
Jesus, guys, I
Oh,
just dropped my water bottle along the back of my desk. Lots of electronics there.
oh,
So
okay.
hopefully
I would.
nothing is soaked, but like literally my water bottle is like 3/4 full. I spilled it like literally over the end, and like my computer is directly below on a pile of wires. So I'm just gonna hope that everything is fine. But yeah,
Let's
could
hope
I could
that
end up
after
just give me one sec here.
paper
I
towels.
could end up with a short if the computer turns off, you'll know that I short circuited everything and I fried my system. So there's no saving it at this point though, because there's so many cables there that like it's kind of like do or die at this point. It's I'm either fucked or I'm saved. So I think I'm okay. Most of the wires are not exposed, but I see
All
you
right.
hobbying, so I'm like, well, why am I just sitting here talking to you? I'm gonna pull some hobby out too.
Yeah, do some hobbies. Be rude like me.
Um, so
But the balanced data slates I think are really cool.
yeah,
I think a lot of them I'm good with. Like I'm happy that they are giving Imperial Guard like little pick me ups, and I think the cool thing about giving knights obsec on their armor girs and counting knights as like 10 models or 5 models, giving chaos just exploding sixes in combat.
mm-hmm.
Like those are cool little things, but I think it's kind of there's an imbalancement as to like when they do these balances. It's like some factions get like good things, and it's like, but other ones will get like kind of like a paltry, like, oh, here's like 10-point increase on your succubus, or like making witches really expensive, but like not really dialing down on like what the problem of the actual book is. Just had, I don't know. That's the only thing that really bothered me. I mean, I wasn't exactly a huge happy camper when like 200 points, my army went up in 200 points for my AdMech army
Your
after I
AdMech,
just
yeah.
started converting.
Hey
After I
man,
started converting all.
your army won LEO. You can't really get mad.
You mean Rustalkers? Rustalkers and Rangers? Cool.
It's
That's one thing I hate about that, like the LVO winning army is it's literally like it's just two good units, and everything else in the army is like, oh, and characters to buff those like two units. There's so many awesome units in that codex.
mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm happy that AdMech still won regardless of point increases, so the internet can still complain about my codex.
That's right. That's the whole point, right? It's a conspiracy by Games Workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you working on now? What's next hobby wise for you?
Well, I am right now in the middle of making new Cataphren destroyers with plasma cannons. These are based off of I already finished painting and building 2 of them in the past year, but I'm doing 2 more. I don't know, like I don't even know if they're like even going to be like very good
Mm-hmm.
in the codex. I mean, I don't mind it. They don't have core. They don't have a way to get rerolls. That's fine by me. I think they're just fun to play with, and I like having big robots on the table.
Right.
Yeah, I'm making more Dino Riders
What do
because
you mean
they're
you say
fun.
you don't know if they're gonna be good? Isn't the book already out? How can you not know if they're good or not?
I mean, I never played with them on the table. I've never
Right.
like played with a bunch of D6 blast plasma cannons. Like I don't, without they hit on 4 up and will probably melt themselves more than they melt other things because they overheat and kill themselves. You roll a
Right.
1. 3 wound toughness 5 model. So it's a gamble, and also just with everything being AP-2 or 1 or damage to everything, it's like they just melt. I think even with the 3-up save nowadays, I'm like, but I'm still
So,
gonna paint them because they're fun.
and do you think you're gonna play AdMech? Like, do you have any big I guess goals for this year? Like, because like for
Yeah,
me, I'm kind of like I'm still kind of screwed because just given the fact that like with COVID, like our borders are still closed, and
yeah,
it's not closed, sorry, but it's just difficult. Like I have to pay COVID tests both ways, and like it's just there's a lot of hoops to jump through to travel to the States, and a lot of the bigger events are still not permitted here, so it's just really hard to like it's hard to
yeah.
like I don't know play events because we can't have them literally.
No,
So I have to either travel for events to the States, which is really hard, or just not play. Are my choices right now.
yeah. I noticed that like things have been kind of difficult in Canada. Like I was looking at maybe doing possibly doing Can Hammer team tournament if someone needed a person in their.
That's coming up in
But
April.
I know. But at the same time, it's like, what if like Ontario just says like, you know what, we're gonna shut things down again because for some reason there's like a trucker COVID
Oh yeah,
outbreak or
there's
something.
we have like a trucker convoy of
Dude,
COVID deniers. It's pretty crazy right now.
my heart goes out to my friends who live in Ottawa who are just like having a horrible time of it. They're just
Yeah,
like, this sucks here, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry that you have to deal with it.
that's okay.
It just
I mean, it's kind of annoying from like my perspective because like I don't know, it feels very entitled. But anyways, this is not a COVID podcast.
that is
um,
correct. You're not
so
apologizing.
all right, well that's exciting. So other big news today. There's obviously the whining in the internet has already reached a fever pitch, but Games Workshop has announced a price increase. Now I think a lot of people are, like, and I know me particularly, like I'm used to Games Workshop price increases, and I've never really complained about them because, as far as I'm concerned, although like on a micro level, the hobby can seem very expensive. Like for instance, like when you're paying $30-40 for like a plastic kit, it is
Yeah.
very expensive, right? Like that's like just from a dollars and cents perspective. I've always found like it can be expensive. Well, for me personally, and this is just again my personal thing, is like, as I've gotten older, obviously like I've had more money, so the cost to me relative to like my income hasn't never felt, it's never felt so cheap, to be honest. Well, not these days, I'm not even working, but when I was like it felt like a smaller, like when I was younger it was expensive, because I would like save up my allowance to go buy like an $8 blister pack, right?
Yeah.
And that seemed like a lot of money. Now like I'll drop I dropped $300-400 last week and not even think about it. No, that's not for me bragging, but I guess my point being is like, my point is that expensive is relative to you depending on A, what your budget is for hobby, and B, sometimes how old you are, which can tie into that. So like if other people, and this is kind of where I guess my position on it is, look,
Yeah.
some people are going to find the hobby expensive and some people are
Yeah.
not. And that's going to entirely depend on how much money they make or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just because you don't find it expensive doesn't invalidate that they feel like it's expensive, right? Like I yesterday, I spent $60 for dinner for myself, right?
Yeah.
Now a lot of people would look at that and say that's a lot of money for one person, and I didn't even have like fancy food. I had 3 drinks and an appy and a starter, and it was like $60. Some people will
Yeah.
look at like a $8 a $15 meal is expensive. So like,
Yeah.
are they wrong and I'm right? No, like it's completely dependent on your income. So I guess my point
Yeah.
is like, first, like I guess I have a few points. First, don't, if someone says it feels like it's getting expensive, like
Mhm.
that's their perspective, and like you can't say that they're wrong. You can't say the hobby's not expensive. If they find it expensive based on their income level, then they find it expensive, and there's no amount of you saying like no, it's not expensive that's going to change that,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't think it's
Yeah.
expensive, that's your specific opinion, and that's great that you have make enough money and that it's not expensive. But like, don't try to invalidate like their perspective. Second,
Mhm.
and this is like a bigger point, Games Workshop is not a private company. Games Workshop is a publicly traded company. So what that means for those of you that are following at home, they have a fiduciary responsibility. Their CEO does, their CFO does, their executive board, their whatever. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as possible for their shareholders as they can, right? Now, that might not sound very noble, right? And obviously the guy that's writing your 40K rules, whether it's like, Mike Brandt or whoever else that's in the creative development side of Games Workshop, that's not their decision. It's not like the games designers are saying, the guys that really are passionate about the hobby are saying, hey guys, we want to raise the money on this hobby. We want to make more money. Those decisions are way above their pay grade, A. And B, it's not even really up to them to make, right? Because as I said, they have a fiduciary responsibility to bring in as much money for their shareholders as they can. Now, a lot of people also, and this is kind of my hot take, so here you are. There's a lot of people on Twitter and other places, and they're saying like, oh, they're gonna drive people out of the hobby, right? If you think, and this is like just straight up, if you think a company the size of Games Workshop goes into any sort of price adjustment, price increase, whatever, without first figuring out how many customers they're going to lose potentially per year, how much more money they're going to make as a result of the price increases, and what that difference is, and then you're ignorant, because any company that size, they have a 400 billion euro market cap or something, 4 billion euros. I don't even know what it is. It's a massive company from a financial standpoint. They have bean counters literally that go in and say, if we raise prices by 5%, we might lose 2% of our customers, but because of the price increase, we'll actually still gain 10% profit, right? For instance, I'm just making up some numbers.
Yeah.
They do those calculations every time they do these price increases, right? And so even if they do lose customers, they don't care, because at the end of the day, they're going to make more money. And so when that report comes out at the end of the month, look, and here's the thing, if I'm a business, any business, right? Yeah. Would you rather have one customer that sells $1 million worth of a product, or 1 million customers that buy $1 worth? That's the question.
Second.
Where are you going? David is gone. The answer is
sorry. Hey, hi.
So my question is, like, if you're a business, right, and I'll use one that's really easy for people to understand, because then they can really conceptualize it. You're a restaurant. Would you rather sell a million meals that cost $1 each, or one meal that costs $1 million each? What takes more work? What's more work for your team?
Basically, the 1 million.
The 1 million meals, right? What's more difficult to do? The 1 million meals. What's going to take more time, more energy, more staff? The 1 million meals. Games Workshop, actually, if you actually think about it, in retail, your best interest is to sell as few things as possible for as much money as possible. It simplifies your supply chain. It simplifies your costs. It simplifies like your inventory that you have to keep, shipping. It simplifies the number of staff you need. So in all aspects, it's actually beneficial in some regard for Games Workshop to actually sell less stuff, especially given the supply, and then just sell it for more money. Like, that's way better from like a dollars and cents perspective. Now, given that our game is a cooperative game, you obviously want other people in the game to play with you, right? Like, you can't just have one person buying all the GW stuff, because they wouldn't have anyone to play with, right? So there is like a critical point there, where it's like, if you sell to too few people, the game actually has a negative effect, right? Even if you're making more money, because over time what's going to happen is you're going to end up like War Machine or all these games that died. You're not going to have enough new people coming into the game. So, but finding that balance, you better believe there are tons and tons of people that are paid very good money, analysts, consultants, fucking like quants, that work at Games Workshop, or consultants for Games Workshop, that figure out all that shit before they raise the thing $1, right? My point is, all these people, look, I'm a consumer. I don't want Games Workshop to raise prices, and I hate it. But I also understand, as a business owner and someone that works in in business, or has lots of business dealings, I understand why they have to do it from a fiduciary standpoint, and B, why it's actually a smart thing for them to do. And third, and this is like the final thing, Warhammer as an IP is only getting bigger, right? We got all the people fucking slaving over Henry Cavill's dick. I just saw an interview with fucking Andy Serkis on the Warhammer community website today, right? We got Eisenhorn trilogy. We got Eisenhorn TV series coming out. More books, more games, more exposure. Multiple celebrities that I know are playing Warhammer on like getting into Warhammer, right? So from that perspective, Games Workshop, the pressure of growth right now into the hobby is much greater than the shrinkage that they're gonna experience, because they have this huge amount of like outward growth that's gonna be coming and is happening, right? But it's like a lot of that pressure, whether it's from celebrities or like more just public perception or public awareness of Warhammer, that's all we're just hitting, guys. Like, we're not even in the like the heyday of Warhammer. It's still very niche, right? LVO, the biggest finals game in the world, LVO, the most competitive 40K game, had like 4,000 viewers at like peak, I think, on the FLG channel. I'm watching Asmongold on Twitch right now. He's got 125,000 viewers playing fucking video games. people regularly getting like 50, 60, there's people that do political commentary that literally get 40, 30, 30, 40,000 viewers. So Games Workshop is so niche, and people people think that it's popular and that it's going to shrink, but actually the room to grow far outweighs the growth that it's already seen. And so Games Workshop, I think, knows that, and so they're not worried about it because they do have a massive amount of space for them to kind of grow into. It's not like they're at their market cap and now they're bleeding their existing players dry and there's no more new players. Like that's in fact the opposite is true, right?
Yeah. No,
So
I hear you
anyways,
now.
those are my thoughts on this whole price increase stuff. So long story short, yes, I hate the price increase. B, am I upset about it? Not at all, because it's just like it's as Thanos says, it is inevitable, right? Like,
yeah.
So.
Dude, I can't really say much. I just bought I went to when I was at LVO, I bought some Forge World I bought a 5-man squad of destroyers jump packs and
what are destroyers?
It's a Horus Heresy unit. They're awesome.
Oh yeah. They got like
They're the guys who have all the radiation weaponry.
Right.
They're like the guys that everyone in the Legion hates.
Those are like Dark Angels normally, right?
What's that?
Mostly Dark Angels. Weren't they famous for like the destroyer like cults?
Death Guard actually works. They had the Phosphex weaponry.
Right.
And a lot of Legions didn't believe that Phosphex was like a weapon they should be utilizing, and like Mortarians like bring it.
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's kind of my thoughts on the whole price increase stuff. I don't know what your feelings are, but
it's inevitable. Things increase in price, and you have to accept it. And if you don't,
I think the one thing that I don't like is I want to make sure that like if we do have price increases, that there is like it's paired with like better values and like better deals and stuff. I don't know, like I'm looking at this, like I ordered this like Eldritch Omen box, right? And it's
a good deal.
It's still a good deal because like all the box sets have always been great deals, and now it's just like a good deal. Like if you break every component down individually, it's still a good deal. Now it's not a good deal in the sense that like no one gives a fuck about the chaos side, but it is a good deal in the sense that like the actual number of kits you get for the money is still slightly discounted. But I wouldn't be surprised if even if those kinds of discounts are gone in the future, and all we see is those box sets are essentially just like, you know, there's a very slight discount or none almost for those kinds of sets. Like I wouldn't be surprised at that.
Well, I mean, the Eldar, I mean, like I feel like the Sisters of Battle one with the Dark Eldar was another one of those box sets where I was like wasn't impressed by what you got in the box set. It just seemed kind of like paltry. But then again, I feel like these are more like mini releases for new model kits. It's more like a way for people to get like a head start on getting those box sets.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this release model, to be honest. I'd much rather them just release the kits.
Agreed. I mean, I will say though, the new Chaos Veteran models look pretty cool in that kit.
Yeah, and like I'm kind of torn because I'm like, do I trade off my do I try? So I already have a Mauler Fiend in a box. I have a Helldrake in a box. I have some Chaos leftovers from when I sold my army.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to just maybe keep the Chaos half, maybe paint one up as like a potential new scheme for like the new Age of Chaos, just for fun. But I don't know. That seems like could be fun just because there's only like six models basically. It's like the 5 chosen, the Warpsmith, and then the Mauler Fiend. I could definitely be tempt myself or talk myself into painting a few of the chosen.
Yeah, dude. I mean, at the worst case scenario, just like I don't know, make a kill team, and then you can play them with like you know what I mean.
What
like,
is this kill team you speak of?
Oh, it's another game that GW released. It's a skirmish game.
It's a headless Helldrake because I used the head on a Forge Fiend. So I have a Forge Fiend head that I was going to put on the Helldrake. So it's not technically headless, but
yeah,
it's close.
Or you can always use your extra Chaos Helldrake to sell, and then you can buy more Eldar.
Yeah, but so I've already heard some rumors from the Chaos Space Marine book from some playtesters. No lie, I'm not just saying this for clout. It's not looking good. So I'll say As if you guys are wondering what I'm doing, I'm vortex mixing something. As predicted, it's not looking great.
Like the book was like garbage.
From what I understand, it's like I'm trying to see what I can say without saying too much. There's it. I think what will tell you more about what's not in the book than what is in the book.
You're a dream killer, my friend. Dream
Yeah.
killer. I want to see
They
Cashman on tape.
definitely have taken a lot of things out of the book that I think people are going to be surprised. And I still feel like until they give us proper supplements, or at least a single supplement with like, I said this to my dream chaos release would be this: a single codex called Codex Chaos Space Marines, right? This would be like essentially the Ultramarines Black Legion vanilla version. So it'd have like Renegade chapter rules, build your own chapter rules, and then maybe Black Legion rules, right? Like the generic Chaos Space Marines. And then you have a Codex supplement called Codex Trader Legions, and this would have the the 4 non-Black Legion Chaos undivided Chaos Legions. So Word Bearers, Alpha Legion, Night Lords, and Iron Warriors. And then you'd have 4 cult books. You have Thousand Sons of Death Guard already, and then we get Emperor's Children and World Leaders. You have essentially 6 Chaos books just for Chaos Space Marines, right? So 4 in the cults, 1 supplement, and then 1 core book, right? On top of that, and this is something that I would really love, Games Workshop, if you're listening, this is what I want. Just like the Harlequins have the rule, or the in the new Eldar book, there's both. Well, ideally, actually, Chaos Space Marines and Demons is just 1 book. That would be like the perfect. But failing that, if Demons could have a rule like the Harlequins do to include a detachment of them in any Chaos Space Marine book, without breaking the rules, and specifically have a rule like, so in a Thousand Sons army, you could include a Tzeentch detachment. A Death Guard army, you could include a Nurgle detachment. In another army, like an undivided army, you could include a mixed detachment, and then in any of the cult armies, you'd include those. That would be ideal. That would be really cool because it's very, very fluffy and flavorful to have Chaos Demons fighting alongside Chaos Space Marines. It's like the main way that you see them in the 40k First Millennium. You very rarely see demon armies in the fluff outside of the ITAR because they just can't sustain themselves, or outside of like a major campaign where like a Primarch is involved, like a demon Primarch. It just doesn't happen, right? So I'd love to see something like that in the books. I know we're not, and that would be way too cool for Games Workshop to do, but you know, a guy can dream, right?
I mean, no one's stopping you from dreaming.
I'm dreaming right now.
I know, right? It's okay. The delusions of grandeur.
They're not even delusions of grandeur. It's just delusions of mediocrity, basically, is what I want. Delusions of like subpar okayness. You know?
Yeah. Nah, I feel like there's a. I feel like kind of GW's in this like kind of weird tailspin where instead of going back on books and fixing rules that really need to be fixed, they're just trying to make the next book better to fix like the problem. I don't know. It feels like, remember we always have to talk about like Codex creep thing. We're always like, oh, like Codex creep. Like now this next book's gonna be even bigger, more powerful than the last. And it's like,
yeah, I mean the most of the Dark Eldar or the Eldar book is out there if you know where to look. Like I have seen screenshots of the Eldar book, and like it is like that, right? Like it is very power creeped. So beware, be ready for the creep, the Eldar creep.
yeah, man. I mean, I kind of it was kind of on the writing was on the wall. Eldar always have had a book, except for I think 5th edition or 4th edition. Every book they come out with is a very they have the book always has kind of like an ability to like skirt around the core rules, and they kind of like break the game open. Like there's always like some sort of, like they were the first army that was like -1 damage. Like Wave Serpents were the OG -1 damage, and they were such a frustration when the game first came out. And then that kind of got like removed when I don't know, the game changed. But I mean, I mean, just the fact that Fire and Fade, the way the obscuring terrain works, the way it does work, it's really infuriating. And when you have an automatic built-in Fire and Fade and like almost everything that's infantry, is going to be really infuriating when I can move an inch backwards and now I'm not in my obscuring terrain that I'm shooting from.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I'm going to be. I really didn't want to see happen in 40k right now. Is to see a 0 CP Fire and Fade that's across the board for an army.
It's almost like they learned nothing from the Unari release, you know, where everything is
Yeah,
getting
it's
3 moves.
pretty much. They heard the nerds complaining that they wanted cool new toys, and they're just. I think also they're like, oh, we're bringing in like top players to like look at the books, and they're gonna get like an in-depth look at like everything, and I'm like, that doesn't really like. I feel like sometimes I feel like they need to have a better vetting system if they're gonna bring in like tournament players into the inner circle
Yeah, I don't blame.
because
I don't blame. I can't, and I won't blame any of the playtesters or Inner Circle. I think this is entirely on the design team. I think the playtesters probably do a pretty good job of like telling them. So to give you a real example, warp spiders. This is like from a playtester's mouth. So warp spiders obviously they haven't revealed them yet. They're flamers. Their spinners are blast, right? And they were blast in the playtesting version. But apparently, from the time that the playtesters given feedback to print, they also gained automatically hit. So now you have, basically they're like strength 6 AP2, like 1 damage flamers basically, and they can obviously jump around. Um,
great.
so now, yeah, so it's like they take something, they get feedback. The feedback's like, okay, this is good. This is not too bad. Definitely like it's nice, but it's not too strong. And then they go and they double it on their own before they publish it, just to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I I don't know, man. Like playing in like I said, like I didn't have the time before I went to LVO to look at the new books that were coming out, and I played against like custodes, and I was just so taken aback by how much they gained and how effective like every model was. And I get it, like they're supposed to be like an army per like every model is like the most like top tier stat line for like a human transhuman esque like person. I get it in the fluff, but like the amount of shenanigans that army had, it was like I was just like I just sat there. I'm just like I literally shook my opponent's hand turn 2, and I'm like I don't even want to play this right now. Like it doesn't matter if you're a nice guy or not. Like I just like I am not enjoying this game because of like how silly some of your mechanics are. Like Trajan by himself can like I mean he's not like a Mornin Vol. Like Mornin Vol can like bench press someone's army by herself.
Yeah.
I think it's silly. Trajan though has a lot of like dumb shit where I'm just like, wait, this is what HQ characters are now? I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like I literally harpooned him with a Valiant and Overwatch, and he was like, "That's 0 damage." I'm like, "How?" He's like, shackle." I'm like, "Oh, that's what it does now." He's like, "Yep." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "Oh, and he also has an auto interrupt." I'm like, "Oh, cool." I'm like, "Oh, he also has a CP regen, like a refunding thing."
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
mean, he's trained fucking
"Oh,
Dolores,
cool,
man. He's the fucking granddaddy master of the
dude."
studies. You can't really get mad.
It was
He's the
just
best.
funny when
He's like the best marine in like the strongest by like
I know.
chapter like genetically of all the marines. You can't really get mad.
I know it was just like, but it was funny because I was playing against him and he just kept being like, "Oh, and he does this, and he does this. Oh, what is his stats? Oh, okay. How many moves? Oh, he still has like 7 more to go." I'm like, "Oh, cool, okay." And I just am like laughing. So I'm just like, the first turn of the game, I killed. He had a 3-man unit of shield duders, and I killed one. And I was like, I'm gonna dump all my firepower of my Valiant into that stupid Trajan model and just murder him outright. And he's like, "Oh, you can." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, because every single model counts as 2 models for lookout, sir." And I'm like, "What? Like this? Come on!" like
Yeah.
you literally are manufacturing a codex to be like min-max your troop choices, put as many characters you can dump into this list because we're just gonna make it that way. And I'm just like,
Does it bother you that they got points drops and chapter approved on top of it all?
"Oh, that was really great too. A plus, A plus, A plus."
I mean, it's not quite as bad as the the like some of the other points drops of books that aren't even out, but
dude, like I just like kept laughing at like how silly the game was. I just like I couldn't. It's like I dipped my head out of competitive 40k for a while in ninth. I just like wasn't interested in the rules really, but I was like I love the hobbying aspect of this, and I have a bunch of new units, and I want to like start building them. And then I started going back to tournaments again. I'm just like I hate these new books, like orcs, like the stupid fucking freebooters buggy list. Like back when I had like 5 planes, like I didn't really know how bad it was until I started seeing what it did in person. I'm like, I hate this list.
It's not a fun
Like,
list to play against.
like I don't even know why they made like an army wide, like +1 to hit, army wide. Everything around you gets this ability. It's like, or you can just have it like the old rule where it was like everything that was within like 24 inches of the model gets to do it or something, or like 6 inches. I forget how the old freebooters rule worked, but it made way more sense. It didn't make the game like wacky and broken. It just like it was a good rule. It didn't stack too much, and yeah, then they did this. And I'm just like, how many shots did that one plane get? Oh, okay, it killed my little tiny background unit. Oh, it's a speed walk, so it's AP -2. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, and now because you shot me with this plane, the model across the table can now get +1 to hit against me. Oh, okay. I'm like, what is this nonsense? I'm like, come on.
Yeah, it's not great.
Like it just felt like it didn't like and then the rules team was like, you know what we should do? We should just like make every buggy unit like unique or something. And I'm like, or you could just change how freebooters work, because that's the main problem. Because you can still make that buggy list gross when you still run that many buggies, diversified your buggy portfolio. On top of that, you have like 3 less planes, but like it's still a gross list, and it's like you didn't fix the main problem. It's like AdMech when they're just like they started changing all the strats on AdMech models, like making like, oh, it's a 20-man unit, or like galvanic volley now is only heavy 2, and they changed all these different strats, and it's like, well, the main problem was you had core on vehicles that probably shouldn't have had core. They did remove it, which is great. That was smart of them. But like the other one was the reason why those units are so good is because they're 20-man units. If you just made them 10, if you just removed the squad cap from 20 to 10, you would solve so many problems. That's like one of the main problems with like the way that army works is like their troop choices you can just like spam like their 20-man blobs and they just dump damage out. If you just made the squad smaller, the stress wouldn't be as horrible. Like
right, but like they're not going to do that because that would require like Hecron says I look forward to discounted fiends. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you can say Custodes are fine and then say Necrons is oppressive and unattractive. If Necrons were good, I'd agree. But Necrons are so bad that it's like it's hard to really hate on anything that the Necrons have. You know?
I mean, I was really hoping with all the new core increase, that was a really for the rules balance. Like their army got so many core additions. That was pretty cool. I haven't played against anything with all the new stuff, but I mean, I think that Necrons like they don't have a lot of staying power. You just focus on one unit, you blow it out.
Well, it's just like standard power creep, right? Like we're already hearing rumors of a second second Space Marine book due out later this year, as well as new 9th edition supplements for all the first founding chapters. Which like we all knew that Space Marines would be getting a second codex at some point. That didn't make sense. Like or immediately after all the books are out. Like we knew that was going to happen. But like the fact that like that new book is just going to be even more power creep, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was
whereas
funny,
Necrons are not going to get that. I bet you this Necron, I guess, sorry, my point was the Necrons are not going to get that. So even though they had the first book that was like same with like Death Guard or any of those like first codexes, like even though those books were kind of the first out of the gate and like as a result suffered from like the kind of first book edition power vacuum, so to speak. We're not going to get new books for any of those like new factions, right? It's not like they're going to roll straight into it's not like it's a rolling thing where it's like once we're through we're going to start back again. It's like no, like that Death Guard book is probably going to be the book till like 10th edition, and that's probably what we're going to get like before, because if you think about it, next year is 3 years 40K's been out, 9th edition.
Yeah.
So like like the editions are usually 3 years apart. So like I wouldn't be surprised if we're due for a new edition of 40K pretty soon, or they're already writing the rules on the codexes for it. For 10th edition.
Possibly.
I just think that I don't necessarily think they need like an index, but like I really hope for 10th edition they like go digital. Like they launched 10th edition with like a full, like they take all the codex rules and everything, update them fully, and then launch like 10th edition or whatever with all digital rules for all the codexes all at once, and then any new units that get needed to get added to those books just get like digitally added later. You know what I'm saying? I know that's not going to happen, but man can
Hey,
dream,
by
right?
the way, I mean to ask you, have you been reading lately? Any new
So
books?
okay,
We haven't
so
talked
full
about the library
disclosure,
much.
I just finally started now that I've been like hobbying and stuff again.
Yeah.
I just started getting through Warhawk again. I was kind of stalled on Warhawk, so I haven't really been reading, so to speak, because I don't read. I listen, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm basically about halfway through Warhawk at this point. Um, so I'm excited to finish that, and then I do want to get into some other stuff like some other audiobooks and stuff like that. Like I have a queue, so but I haven't really been doing it that heavily. Sorry, so unfortunately.
Oh man, I loved Warhawk. Yeah, there's a part in it where I was just, how far are you into? You're not near the end, are you?
No, I'm like as I said, I'm like maybe a third of the way through, slightly more.
Oh,
Let me check my Audible really quick. I'll tell you how far I'm in. So from
okay.
a so I've so it's a 14-hour audiobook, and I have 8 hours left, so I'm like just under halfway.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because there's always this whole thing of how like everyone's always like, we don't understand, like is Jagad, like what is, like everyone has like an aspect of the Emperor, and people are always like, what does the Khan have that makes him like a
Mm.
figment, a part of the Emperor? And I hope it's the Emperor's shit talking ability, his power of shit talking.
Yeah, I know he's gonna show down with Mortarion at some point, and I'm quite excited for that. So,
Oh,
um,
dude, he shit talks Mortarion so hard. That's the best part of the entire book. He just talks
yeah,
shit and
I'm
like,
looking forward to that encounter when that comes. But I assume I'm a good chunk away from that. So,
yeah, you are. Start reading, start listening.
hey
Um,
man, I mean, I'm trying to.
okay.
All right, David. What else? Is there anything else we want to catch up on? So what's the plan for you? Like, are we gonna be doing this show in the future? I'm gonna put you on the spot here in front of
I mean,
everyone.
I'd like to. I mean, like, I think
Because
this
you know
year's.
me, I'm unemployed, and we're and like living literally in my. If I had a basement, I'd be living in it, and I'm just playing video games and hobbying right now. So I have a
Okay.
lot of free time, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what your schedule is gonna be like moving forward. Are we gonna be doing the show?
Yeah.
Today
I
was more of
down.
kind of a hangout. I don't think
What's that?
we didn't have a lot of serious topics. So
Yeah, we haven't really like talked in a while. I think 2022 was a very erratic year. Sorry, 2021. Whoa, hey, back up. I think like a lot was going on in both our lives, and there was a lot of things we had to take stock of. And it started to pile up, I think, near the end of the year, where we just had to accept that like the
mhm.
last like 4 months that like we just had to take care of ourselves,
Yeah.
uh, and kind of like separate ourselves a little bit more from things like this.
Hmm.
But I think this would be a good time for us possibly to get back into the swing of things. I mean, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I finally have a little more hobby mojo back. That was a hard thing. I was really feeling disenfranchised about the game.
Yeah, me too.
I
I'm
mean,
definitely more this Eldar release has been really energizing for my hobby
that's great.
excitement. I'm sadly I did find out that I bought a Crimson Hunter kit last week, and sadly I found out that they're actually not very good in the new book. Flyers in general seem to be getting a bit of a shit, which is I'm glad because I think they're shitty. It's just not fun. And I've ordered quite a bit of Eldar, even though I said I wasn't gonna order more than one kit at a time. And this is Games Workshop's fault because, and I don't know if the supply chain issues are still there, but like every edition, what happens is like a book comes out and everything sells out for like 6 years. So then, and then I'm scrambling. So I've been trying to track down some metal because look, if I'm gonna be using old Aspect Warriors, which I'm hesitant to do, but if I am, I'm definitely using metal ones. Screw Finecast. So I've been trying to
Yeah.
track down some metal striking scorpions. So if anyone has a lead on those, let me know.
Are you
And
talking about the more thick striking scorpions or like the sexy like posed ones that are really skinny?
I don't know. I think there's only I always assume there's just one set of striking scorpions.
I mean, they resculpted them for like a very brief period of time, and then
I don't know the current ones that are on the website.
the bigger ones, the thicker ones. Okay.
Yeah. I am gonna convert up my fire dragons and my whooping hawks probably, and my warp spiders as well. Oh, the warp spiders are ordered from Artel. But I think with some like bits, I could convert these pretty easily. Some of these guys.
Nice.
So definitely gonna do that. Yeah, I just can't do it with the Finecast shit, man.
Dude, I totally
It's just
get you, man.
painful.
I'm really, you know what I'm really excited about is seeing what everyone's doing with their hobbying for like all the big events that are coming up. Like Adepticon, there's always a lot of big hobby people that come to that event, and I'm really excited to see what they pull off.
Hmm.
There's a guy, Spencer Colhane.
Hmm.
That's like one of the really amazing parts about LVO. I know I shit about LVO, I didn't really enjoy it, but I
Thanks,
had a
Layer
really
Crusher.
great. What's that?
Layer Crusher says my place has a very basement atmosphere, so don't worry.
Yeah. One thing that did really enjoy though was when we did second round paint judging. I got to sit down and talk to all the different painters and like hobbyists, and we had some really great conversations. Like, I got to talk to Israel Sanchez, who's the guy who won LVO's
Mhm.
best painting. He had this like gorgeous Tau army, and like we talked a lot about like paint technique and like conversions and like new projects and so Spencer and I, we had a really great conversation about like conversions and color theory, and we just talked about the state of the game
Was
and
the
talking.
monster guy there?
What's that?
The monster guy? The guy with his monster army?
Monster Army.
Like painted in like theme from Monster Energy Drink. He's got like the tank, the Titans and stuff. He always shows up like Decepticon.
Oh, I don't remember.
Anyways,
Oh,
all good.
oh, yeah. No, he wasn't there.
That's good.
Oh,
He's got. I just never liked that thing.
I think it's like it's hard because his knights are really like he puts a lot of energy into his big models, but then when he paints small models, he doesn't put like we always talk about how people don't put the effort into the models like uniformly.
Yeah.
Like when he goes to events, like he paints like his big models, like they're like showcase high tier painted models, like they're gorgeous.
Hmm.
But then you look at like all like the guys running around the feet, like they're like barely battle like GW battle line like painted. And I'm like, I don't understand like the duality of like having like amazingly painted like showcase models and then also having you share that display board with models that you didn't put much work into. It's obviously you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Like there was a guy there that painted these beautiful knights, and then he had an AdMech detachment, and they didn't feel like he put the time in comparatively to his knights, and it kind of like you could tell when people put display boards up when they start putting all the infantry like way in the back, and they like are hiding them in buildings and
Yeah.
like.
Guilty. I definitely used to put, but like even my cultists, I usually used to paint to a pretty high level. But I've definitely like always want to put the nice models up front, the eye catching ones, that kind of stuff. One of the things I've been
Yeah,
enjoying about Eldar is like there's literally no trim, which has been amazing. Um, and everything is like fairly small.
yeah,
Like even like the characters are like this big, right? Like there's not a lot of. It's
yeah.
just like everything is like basically infantry and then some like very smooth tanks. So it's like it's been pretty like smooth to paint, I guess.
I've been meaning to ask you, who's the speaking of Eldar and painting? Oh my gosh, I'm like blanking so hard right now. Uh, Painter from Ontario does Necrons, Orcs. He's doing an Elder army right now. He's
Caleb,
doing an Elder. What's that?
Caleb Edwards.
Caleb. Yeah, Caleb's
Yeah, he's
painting
doing
that
the 80s like what's it
synthwave
called?
Elder
Yeah,
army.
synthwave army. That's cool. I
Dude, that
like
looks
it.
so
It looks
good.
cool for sure. It's very like striking theme. Um
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very striking theme. I'll be interested to see how it manifests on like infantry and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, I know. I'm really excited about it. I mean, he comes with some really great paint palettes. Some they're always very like energetic and lively. So I'm really excited to see what it comes up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe that's my reason
Um,
to go to Can Hammers to see all these armies.
for sure. All right, David. Anything else? Any final thoughts to the with fam?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to be a downer into the future. I know I kind of like poop on events and state
Mm-hmm.
of the game at times, but I mean, we're living in a pretty awesome time of like hobbying, and it's like I think it's something we have to keep our minds occupied on, and that like I, I mean, I'm working on like 5 different hobby projects right now for different game systems and stuff, and I hope that like, you know, and you're getting back on your hobby horse, which is great, and I can't wait to see what we're coming up with in the next coming months. You know,
Yeah, I was serious. If anyone has any real metal Eldar, let me know. I want to get some of my hands on some of the old school stuff. Like if I'm
I
gonna
have
use old school, I'm gonna go real old school. You know.
I have some old stuff. Oh, dude, I have the Necromunda Eldar models. If
What
you're
are
interested.
those?
Oh, they made a Farseer. It's like a running weird warlocky Farseer, and I
Hmm.
think there are fire dragons as well. But you're converting your fire dragons,
Yeah,
so
fire dragons are gonna convert. Warp spiders I'm okay with. I want to get some of the striking scorpions though.
okay. I'll
The
go
old
look
school
at my
ones.
box. I mean, I did try and start an Eldar army and failed miserably at it. So
They're just so small. They're so cute. The old metal stuff. So tiny.
yeah, there's some good models in it though.
Yeah.
Like I love the old bug helmed Farseer. The one that has like the witchblade on his back and he's pointing.
Yeah. I don't know how many generations of striking scorpions were there. I wonder.
1, 2, 3, 4, 4. I think 4 generations. There's like the second edition ones, third edition they came out with new ones. Fourth edition. Yeah, I think there's 4 edition. There's 4 different variations of striking scorpion. I think.
I do hope we get like a second release, like kind of like we had with Chaos and how we had with Sisters, where we do get like it's ridiculous at this point. Think about it, between the time we get the Eldar release and the end of the year, we're gonna
Yeah.
have 4 Necromunda gangs, which are the same size, the same scale, and infinitely more detail than any of the Eldar stuff. Speaking of, maybe there's
Yeah.
some Necromunda stuff I could convert into Eldar.
I mean, I would wait to see what the ash face gangers are gonna look like. They released very vague concept art a very long time ago, but they made them look like almost like ninja desert Bedouins with like very tribal like looking like with like weird like just like like straw hats and weird billowy cloaks and like weird like I don't know. They look very like post-apocalyptic-y, but like also like look very like lithe and fast. I'm kind of curious to see how they're gonna come out.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
really see anything in
oh,
the.
dude, Van Sar are great model kits for Eldar. It's the way that they're very
Let's
like
see here.
the way that the armor is all segmented. You could probably change a little bit around the models, and they would probably fit in just fine.
Hmm.
They're smaller than your normal Eldar Guardian, though. Just a heads up.
Yeah, they're a little too techy.
Yeah, you'd have to like. I think you'd have to sculpt over some of the
I
plates
think
and
I'm
make them
probably
more.
better off with some like let me see, like maybe some like Lumineth shit.
Yeah, I think the Lumineth
Is there any
range
Lumineth
has
stuff I could convert? Would be
the
good.
meditating guy that's floating. Come on,
Ooh,
give me one.
Techless? Oh no.
Oh, Techless,
Like the
I hate
Blade
that.
Lords.
Yeah, Blade Lords are great. The Hammermans,
Could be
those guys
cool
too.
striking scorpions with some like work. Maybe like different helmets because their helmets look ridiculous.
Yeah, I still think it'd be really cool to kit bash the weird mountain goat thing with a Wraith Knight. I think that
Yeah,
could be a
that could
thing.
be cool. Or maybe is there anything in the like Identity Deepkin that would be cool?
The Reavers
I'm
are
looking. If
great.
you're wondering what I'm doing right now, it's because I'm looking at it right now.
I think the Reaver Bowmen are really cool. They have really great dynamic poses. Maybe those are more. They would be good for like banshees if you want to like, sculpt armor
Oh,
on
I do
them.
like these reavers. If you could get different heads,
Yeah,
like
or using Harlequins, man.
What could I use
He
as?
great poses for Harlequins, I think,
Yeah,
personally.
the problem with Harlequins though is like I don't have. It's like they're too like I don't know. I'm like,
I hate the Harlequin model range. I think they're too. Some of the poses, like they're not good multi-part kit poses. Like there's just ones where they're like, and you're like, what are you doing?
Luminous
Like they
is
have
such
like,
a. I know Deacon is such a crazy faction. Man.
what's that?
Maybe there's some old Dark Elf stuff too, like Cities. What is that? Cities Sigmar.
Yeah, man. Trying to think. Old
The
model.
Dark Shards. No, those wouldn't work. The old Executioners.
Oh man, old executioner fucking. I remember like that's what got me wanting to play fantasy was seeing the executioner models
Oh, the
when they
old
first came
Executioners were
out.
so good. The metal ones.
Oh my god, they look so good. They had first strike. They were like sword masters of Hoeth with like killing blow or something, didn't
Hmm.
they? They were like yeah, they were like kind of like sword masters. They weren't as good, but they also like could just
They
like
look so
chop
good right now. I'm looking at the kits. Like those on round bases. They're a
them.
little bit
Oh.
monopose though, because you can tell they're sculpted for like ranking. Like they're all kind of like similar pose. But
Yeah.
their bodies could be like a good starting point.
Yeah, they got some pointy bits. I think the new Corsair kit is gonna be awesome. I'm so excited
What
about
chain
that.
Eldar don't wear chainmail? Come on.
Eldar wear chainmail. Corsairs do. Come on, get into the Corsair game,
Yeah, they could be
baby.
like Corsair fans. What
Well,
about
there's a.
Phoenix Guard?
I mean, there's the path of the outcast where like everyone goes into like ranger mode. Maybe you could have like, and some people do like try different paths. Maybe like there's like an outcast like I don't know like striking
The
scorpion
Corsairs
group.
look pretty cool. Blackheart Corsairs.
Yeah.
Like Blackheart Corsairs with like as striking scorpions. Just give them a single sword. And then
Mm.
what's the other gun? The Mandy Blaster would look cool.
Yeah. I mean, you could always have like little. I feel like mana blasters could be shown in different ways, like a little like wrist mounted
Shadow
something,
Warriors. Let me see here.
like a little shadow, like a
What are
little
Shadow
shoulder.
Warriors? Are they what's their like is it Sig City Sigmar or is it like Lumineth?
Those are high elves,
No,
shadow warriors.
it's just like not everything's on here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, their heads are too helmety though. They have scale mail, so that doesn't really work.
You know what the
I don't know.
sad part was?
I'm probably hooped.
I thought when the what the good gold fueled dwarves, the Carrion Overlords, I thought they're gonna be the same scale as the dwarf models from the fantasy range. So I got super excited and bought a bunch of iron breakers in plastic. And they are like half the size of Carrion Overlords, and it, like my heart broke. And I was like, I can't make conversions out of these. It would look so goofy.
The Eternal Guard look pretty good too from the Wood Elves.
The Eternal Guard,
Hmm.
uh, they're not bad. The kit's not bad.
Like the big swords.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah.
I don't know, I think it would take some bits. I mean, what do you need besides chain swords, right?
What's that?
I could give like just get chainsword bits. That's really all
There you go.
Shadow Warriors are. Or sorry, Striking Scorpions are. They're just Eldar chainswords. You know what's
You
so
know you.
stupid though? You'd think like at this point, Striking Scorpions wouldn't have chainswords. Like it's such a Monkey weapon.
Well, I mean, yes and no. They're
It's like Eldar
short.
with bolters. Like you'd be like, what? Why are they using bolters? That makes no sense. That's so on Eldar. So the fact that they still have chainswords actually bothers me. They should have at some edition or the new versions of them gone to like I don't know some Eldar version of chainswords. Just like how everything now has like its own version of weapons, right? Like they don't have just
Yeah.
like the generic weapons.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Like I get this idea that like the word chainsword is basically a catch-all for like a style of weapon rather than like a specific type of weapon.
it's a chain blade. You know.
But like think about it. A chainsaw is the most like inelegant, crude. Like what do they put gasoline in the Eldar chainsaws? Like what do they do they put what do they use in 40K? Uh what's the name of the gas? Uh the gasoline in 40K? There's a special name for it. Um,
I'm totally blanking why I
it's
not
like
Petroleum. Oh my
there's
god.
a name. There's a name for anyone in chat know. What is the name of the? What do they call the gasoline in 40K? It's like it's got a.
I've
It's.
read so many Ghost
I
novels. I
know.
should
I've
do
read
this.
so many ones. Like it's like
I'm
it's
not
like
using
it's like
Promethean.
Promethean.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Fuck. Thank
God
God.
damn.
Thanks, Nate Dungeon. Yeah. I'm
Thank
like,
you, Nate.
there's a name for it. Damn it. Can you imagine though? Like what the Eldar put Prometheum in their chainswords to fuel the little motors? Like these super like Eldar are supposed to be silent and deadly, and they got these like freaking loud motors running around.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
Thanks.
probably
Thanks,
like
chat.
fueled by like gemstones, or they're solar powered, or
Yeah, like
they're
electric.
fueled by the
Eldar have
spheres that,
electric chainswords. Just
yeah,
like
they just plug them
Tesla
in.
model chainswords.
Yeah, that's the way of the future.
Zero emissions. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
zero emission swords.
Yeah. I guess it just feels inelegant. What is like them hacking at people with these chainswords for me?
I mean, there's only so many different armaments that
Armaments.
they can make. Thank you. That they can make in the game. I mean, like Harlequins have all the cool like hand, the kisses, the embraces,
But that's my
the
point though. Like as the game has grown, like think about it. In like third edition, every army, Eldar, orcs, everyone had bolters, chainswords, and power swords, right? And
yeah,
now instead, every army has its own unique versions of those with its own
yeah.
name, right? Like name me like there's like like Tau have las cannons. They're just not called las cannons, right? Tau have melta weapons, but they're not called melta weapons. They're called fusion blasters. They're still melta guns, right? They're essentially melta guns. They just call them fusion blasters because that's more like fluffy for elves. So I'm curious as to like why they don't like and maybe they I haven't seen the new Eldar Codex, but like maybe they're gonna rename the striking scorpions chainswords as like scorpion stings or something ridiculous like that, and then like it's like a whole different weapon, you know?
I believe the scorpion sting is the power fist.
Yeah, maybe. But like, yeah, and if the freaking chainswords are still just strength 4 AP 0 1 damage, like, although
They'll make
I hear striking scorpions are quite strong in the new book. They have a lot of
They're gonna
tricks.
make him AP-1 at least. Like that's like everything's getting an AP-1 melee weapon now, which it's just I kind of like miss how armor saves worked.
Yeah.
It can be a little annoying when everything's now getting like AP-1. Like I didn't really know how much AP-1 Dark Eldar had until I got into melee with them, and then they're like, oh, it's a 6, so now it's an AP-2 weapon. I'm like, cool, okay. And it's like, wait, so your weapon base is just like AP-1? And I'm like, it sucks. I mean, Astartes chainswords are AP-1,
Yeah.
so that's so like and like forget people are like, oh, like like the Reavers for Space Marine Reavers, like make their blades AP-1. I'm like, it's a big ass knife. Like, stop it. Like, leave base infantry weapons at AP-0. Like, I don't know. They're
like
kind of having
they did that with chainswords, right? They're called Astartes chainswords.
Yeah, AP-1.
Right? So like are they gonna call them Eldari chainswords?
Yeah, probably. They'll probably call them like Scorpion Chain Blade or something.
Oh.
And they either give like, but they'll probably give them AP-1 because everything's getting AP-1 treatment these days, and it's with everything getting +1 armor save and -1 damage, you have to have the AP, +1 on everything now to kind of get through it. And all the old books just like scream in agony. Poor Imperial Guard. I look at that Astra Militarum book and I'm like, that book came out in like 2017.
Yeah, dude. 2022. 5 years.
Like,
because that's the 8th edition guard book, right?
What's that?
That's the 8th edition guard book.
Yeah. Like, that poor book. Like, you look at the way the game has changed, and like, they didn't even take the time to FAQ how certain Talaran have a rule where like their vehicles can move and shoot without -1 to hit for moving and shooting. They didn't even FAQ Talaran when the 9th edition Codex came out to be like, oh, they get a different chapter tack, a different regiment ability.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even give them that. I'm like, come on, like these are small changes that they should at least have done as like hey, we kind of just folded your rule into just the rules, so like your ability is not even special anymore.
Yeah, I think the oldest books, if you count, I'm not gonna say Chaos Space Marines is 2.0 counts, what is guarding Chaos Space Marines at this point, right? Because I mean that makes sense, but like Guard was one of the first books, and I think Chaos Space Marines is one of the first books in the 8th edition, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because there was Death Guard book came out like really early
I
on.
could go check the publishing date on my Chaos Space Marine book, but I don't even want to look at it. It's depressing.
I mean, 8th edition, I think it was like Space Marines, Death Guard, Chaos Marines, Astra Militarum. I think those were like the first like 4 books that were out. Yeah, because I remember I played Guard during that. I was playing Militarum Tempestus during that time period, and like I was only playing with the index for a little bit before the book dropped, and I was like, oh, okay. But that book, man, that's the problem about the game is like we pump out books so fast now that like even the books that are outdated are just. I mean, poor Gene Seer Cult before their new book came out, they were just like, they didn't have a leg to stand on, and they gave them a supplement book, and it was like a slap in the face when I read it. I was like, wow, like, these spells suck. These stratagems are not really that useful.
Yeah.
They like all this extra stuff that like amounted to really like cool, I guess. I'm like, you gave me more things, but none of it is like really viable.
Yeah, exactly. All right, David, let's wrap it up here. Any final thoughts? Here we go.
No, because you already asked me my final thoughts earlier.
All right,
I think
20 minutes ago. So our final thoughts. Any final thoughts?
Any final 20-minute deviations? No, I think I'm good.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please make sure to leave a like on the videos below. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow for regular hobby chat at 5 o'clock. And then Friday for hobby half hour, where I basically get drunk and print models myself, which is very depressing, but it's fun. So I'll see you guys on Thursday and Friday. David, if you're always more than welcome to join if you want to. Any of those days.
Good.
And
Let's make this.
yeah, I appreciate everyone. Nate Dungeon, Ariel, Leo Crusher, Vivi, thanks guys for the feedback. Thanks for saving us on the Prometheum. What like sad 40k fans are we couldn't even remember Prometheum. Next thing you know, we're gonna forget what Ceramite does. So
yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, and then just quickly, guys, for those of you wondering, a few people asked me why I wasn't uploading the audios of the shows to the podcast. Well, first of all, I wasn't doing the shows, and second of all, it's just like I think I'm just gonna for now keep the show until there's more regular shows. Because it's so irregular, doing like one show a month on the podcast just didn't make sense. So, yeah, so that's the answer. So I'm not uploading them. All that I might, if I feel slightly less lazy, upload the interviews and stuff like that. But obviously, the hobby and chats is not something that I'd upload. So, with that said, let's sign off. And David, it's been a good